Hey guys, so I'm at this park not too far from where we're staying in Cuenca. It's a really big park, so baby Jen can kind of run around and play a little bit. We brought a soccer ball. Oops, fell. And it's many different little areas the kids can kind of play, swings, sliding board, all of that great stuff. But I thought it'd be a good time to make a video because this is our last full day in Ecuador and we head to Chile tomorrow. So I wanted to do like a quick review of the cities that we visited while we were here and stayed for, you know, a few days or longer. And I'm gonna break it down into like 4 different categories. So the first thing would be the people. The second would be the weather, food, and then like things to do, like tourist attractions or just things to do in general. So the first place we went to was Guayaquil. We stayed there for 3 full days. And the people, pretty nice. You know, whenever I have questions about directions of how to get someplace or recommendations for food from people on the street or the hotel or whatever, people were super nice and friendly and wanted to help, which was great. The climate, very hot, extremely hot. So it's kind of hard to kind of do things early in the day because the sun was very strong. So we would go out, you know, sometimes like earlier in the day, and then we would kind of head out a little bit later as the sun was starting to set. So the sun sets completely here around like 6:30. So if you get out around 3:30, 4 o'clock, it's starting to die down. You can kind of enjoy where you are and be able to explore a little bit more. So that was cool. Let's see here. So food. The food in Guayaquil wasn't bad. We went to like a really good market that's in that video. You guys can check it out when we're in Guayaquil. They had different options and variety of different foods that from all over South America, like Peru, Venezuela, and Colombia, maybe a few others. I think in Mexican, even had like a Japanese like sushi restaurant. So not even just South America, but just different countries in general. So that was pretty cool. And it's like local food we would get like on the street or drinks and things like that. It was pretty decent. I liked it. I enjoyed it. We went to like a really good steakhouse that was recommended to us from a hotel that was fairly decent. One thing just to say about the food in Ecuador in general, like I'm a really big steak person and like the beef here is like kind of dicey, so it's 50-50 if you get a good steak. I found it better to like go to like Super Maxi, which is a very local grocery market here, and you can kind of pick out like, you know, T-bone steaks, filet mignon, whatever your choice of cut is, and you can get a pretty decent steak for 10 bucks or less per person, and it's really good. A lot of times when we have beef out at other restaurants, especially if it wasn't like specifically a steakhouse, or even if it wasn't necessarily all that great. So, but the chicken here is really good. Like, I guess the chicken, you know, the chickens are happy. They run around free. You see them around certain cities that you're living in or staying in. They're just running around in the streets. So maybe they're just happy, free-range chickens. But the chicken definitely tastes really good and is extremely cheap. So that's also another option if you're not a big red meat eater. The chicken is really good. Let's see, so things to do. In Guayaquil, there's a lot of sights to see. We had bookmark. They have the teleférico, which is the cable cars, which is really nice. And they can take you to different places. We took one to Duran, which is kind of like a dicey neighborhood from what I've heard, but they have like little local restaurants and local stalls you can get food from, even like a park and stuff. So we did check that out the second day, I think that we were here, which was really nice. And we enjoyed ourselves. I think overall, like, nothing negative to say about Guayaquil at all. Like, even though you hear that it's dangerous, we only encountered one thing, and I kind of briefly mentioned that in the Guayaquil at night video, where we were walking home around maybe like 9 o'clock from grabbing something to eat, and we saw like 3 guys as we were walking back, and it was kind of like a dead street, and one guy had like a machete in his hand. And they didn't do anything. They definitely like checked us out or whatever, but nothing happened. But you do hear and see a lot on the news that Guayaquil is extremely dangerous. And even like 2 taxi drivers in Quito told me the same thing, like, wow, it's extremely dangerous, be careful. It's even worse than Quito. So just make sure you keep your eyes open, which I always do. No matter where I go in the world, I'm always looking to see, you know, who's around me, what's going on. And I try to size up the situation just to see if anything doesn't seem right. So with that said, we didn't run into any problems, but yeah, as you can probably Google, there's a lot of issues with that. But yeah, there's a lot of touristic areas there that you can check out, local markets. Like I said, the people are friendly, so it's definitely a place that you can spend a few days in and you can definitely have things to do. the second city, which is where we spend the most time, which was Salinas. So in Salinas, we were there, we had an Airbnb for 30 days, but we probably stayed there probably about 20 days because we did like weekend excursions, and then we left early to come to Cuenca for 3 days. But Salinas, beautiful city. The people there are probably the friendliest out of all the people that we encountered all over Ecuador. Maybe because it's just like a small beach local town. There's not that many expats there, although there's like a growing community of people who are going to retired. So you have that community. But outside of that, it's just like local people who are either from there or like richer Ecuadorians coming from other cities like Quito who have like a vacation property in Salinas. The beaches there are extremely beautiful. So I definitely enjoyed it. As far as the climate is it's hot. So if you want to like actually like go out and do things and kind of tour around the city or go places, we would do things like at 4 o'clock or later, just because the sun could be so intense that it would just, like, we got sunburned like twice while we were there, just kind of walking around and stuff. And even when we would go to the beach, we would try to pick days where it was kind of cloudy out, or go like later on in the day or super early in the morning. Other than that, it's kind of tough. And the same thing when we like brought like baby Jen to the park, we would always go like after 4 o'clock. Other than that, we kind of pretty much stayed inside the Airbnb and waited for the sun to kind of cool down. Okay, let's see. Food. So the down part about Salinas is the food. The food there is not good. I don't eat seafood at all, so I can't speak on that portion. I'm pretty sure that's fairly decent because that's what they're mostly known for. But like the beef and stuff there just wasn't great. A lot of restaurants we tried out just wasn't good at all. So we end up cooking most of the time in our apartment, just getting food from Tia, which is a very popular supermarket, and then like I said, Supermaxi, which is a bigger, I think it's less locations, but it's like a bigger market, so you have more options and variety, which I think was a place that we frequent the most. And then things to do. So since it is, like I said, it's a beach town, there's the only things you really can do there is really go to the beach. They have some good parks for kids and a lot of like public soccer fields or football fields. So like we took Jen to a couple and we had a good time with him doing that. And we met people like along the way at the parks who were extremely friendly, just local people who would just see us and they would just come up and just start speaking to us, which is great because they gave me a chance to also practice my Spanish. And we also met like a couple who had 3-year-old daughters who we actually met through a Facebook group, but she's Ecuadorian, her husband's Canadian, and they had like a birthday party for their 3-year-old twin daughters, and we were invited to that, and they live not too far from where we stayed. So they were very welcoming and inviting. We had a great time, and so did Jen, because there's other kids his age or a little bit older, but they had a clown for entertainment for like 2 hours. It was just a really, really good time. So that was fantastic. So overall, Salinas was, you know, a great choice for us to spend time because it was chill, quiet, and laid back, and it gave me a chance to be able to work in peace and also enjoy the beach and the people and things like that. The third city would be Montanita, which is about an hour and a half up the coast, and Montanita is more popular for the younger crowd who are looking to party and hang out, and we're kind of out that stage of our life, but we definitely wanted to check it out. I think the beaches there were a little bit better just because the water was, well, it's known for surfing, so the water there was a little bit more intense, which I kind of like, which was really fun to kind of get into. And you can go like far out into the water and you're not really going that deep. You're still like at waist length, at least for me. So that was cool. Tons of restaurants and places to drink and stuff. Totally different vibe, very opposite of Salinas, where it wasn't laid back at all, but it's definitely a fun place to go for a few days if you want to hang out and party. The climate's the same as Salinas, so very hot. You can't do too much stuff in the daytime. People there, same as Salinas, very friendly. They're used to foreigners coming there to party and hang out, so they're more used to speaking English there. So you do find people there that do speak English a little bit more than in Salinas, because in Salinas I think I probably met a couple people who spoke a little bit, and it's because they traveled or lived in the US for a while. Things to do. So the things to do is mostly there. It's like the beach, same thing, and just going out to like the party and drink late night. And it's pretty much it. So we stayed there for about 3 days at a hotel that was really nice in Old Montanita. And I would go back if I come back to visit the coast again, and I probably want to travel up further to Manta. But it's like 4 hour drive from Salinas, so we didn't want to go that far up. The next city is Quito. So we spent 3 days in Quito as well for the weekend. Quito, let's say the people there, a little bit colder, which you can expect because it's a large city. I think it's like 4 million people who live there. But I did meet like some nice taxi drivers who we had like good conversations about just Ecuador in general, my journey of learning Spanish and me trying to travel all through South America. And they were very friendly and gave me good recommendations of places to go and to eat and things to do in Quito, places that are safe, what I should stay away from, all those type of things. So that was good. So people, I would say, like not as friendly as Salinas and Montanita, but still they were nice. The climate there is a little bit chillier. You're in the higher altitude. It's roughly around like mid-60s every day. We did encounter a little bit of rain, but other than that, it was very comfortable, which I like. So like you can wear like a light jacket or a sweater and you're good. Except for like early in the morning, it can be extremely cold, or late at night, but like during the day, perfectly fine. Things to do. So there's a lot of sights to see within Quito, and a lot of places around Quito that you can go to, especially if you're into like nature. Like we went to like one thermal park that was about an hour from the airport. We went directly there, and it was very nice, mountainous views. It was called like Playa Cata. Put the spelling down in there, but it was really nice to kind of just relax outdoors and bathe in different temperatures of water. So that was pretty fun. And there's tons of those places all around. And we didn't get a chance to explore that much around Quito, but from what I did online, there's tons of places that you can go to. It looks really fun. So if I ever was to come back, I definitely want to explore more things around Quito versus what's in Quito. Because Quito is not a very walkable city, even though we did have a car. It's a lot of hills. So if you've ever been to San Francisco, it's very tough to walk up and down those hills, especially when you're pushing a stroller, and there's tons of traffic. So even if you do have a car and you're driving, you're sitting in traffic for like a long period of time. So that part we really didn't like either. The food was great, and I figured it would be. Typically in climates like Quito, you have a lot of delicious food. The cuisine is more in line of what I like, which is more like heavier foods, starchier foods, even though I try to stay away from starch as much as possible. But when I'm on vacation, I don't mind. I like to indulge. So you have like a lot of meat and potatoes, rice, hearty soups, things like that. A lot of pig dishes, which is very popular there, cerdo. So definitely more of a variety. There's more type of food that I enjoy. So I give it an A+ definitely for that. And that pretty much wraps it up for Quito. So the last place would be Cuenca, which is where we're staying now, spending our last 2 days in Ecuador. So we didn't plan on coming here. We just decided last minute, like, you know what, let's just rent a car, drive from Salinas, and spend our last 3 days here just to see how we like it. And if we do like it, we can always stay longer or come back at a different time. But let's at least get an idea of what it's like. So the climate-wise is perfect because just like, Medellin, it's like internal spring is always like around like high 60s, 70s, very comfortable weather. And let's see, the people here have been extremely nice as well. I haven't talked to that many people locally like I did in some of the other cities, and I didn't take a taxi or anything because we have a car and everything is pretty walkable. There's not many hills and things you have to worry about. It is kind of like a lower level and higher level part of the city where you get to like take a lot of stairs at certain points. But other than that, it's pretty easy to kind of maneuver, and we're staying in the center, so everything we wanted to see was like, no more than 15 minutes away, but most of the things were like 5-10 minutes away. They have a great local market here, so that's awesome. So I guess that's kind of like the only time I did kind of speak to local people. And like one guy at one of the restaurants, we got some a pig dish. He was very friendly, very nice, and we spoke in Spanish. And I decided to choose his stall just because he was so friendly. And just people in general that worked there was just like very easy to speak with and very friendly. And you ask them a question or any recommendations, they would give it to you. Things to do. I would say there's not as many things to do here in terms of like tourist attractions. There's like obviously like a few churches and squares and things like that, and they're beautiful, don't get me wrong, but not as beautiful as like some of the things that you see in Quito. And you can see everything within like a couple hours and you'll be done. But if you're like coming to like live here, it's very tranquil, very peaceful. The people here are super nice, and I think, I want to say like I've ran to probably at least 5 or 6 people who spoke English, even like in that local market we went to. Like it was like a couple people who actually spoke English, and I know some of them said they did live in New York at some part of their life. So that was kind of cool when you have someone that speaks the language and they know where you're from and they can kind of, you know, relate a little bit. So that's always great. But it's the safest city, from what I understand, that's in Ecuador. So you have a lot of expats, 8,000 expats, roughly American, who have moved here as digital nomads or retirement. So you do see more Americans or people from Europe or wherever that's in this city than any other city that we've been to, that I've witnessed, at least in my personal opinion. So that's pretty cool. But I think if I was to live here, it'd be great because it's a great place to raise a family. It's safe, and it's just a pleasant place to be, and not like looking over your shoulder or anything like that. So I would say in terms of that, great place to come hang out. I definitely recommend checking it out. Food is great here as well. Like I love going to that local Mercado Diez de Agosto. It's a lot of stalls of good food. You can also buy fruits and vegetables from there as well. And I went there twice and definitely enjoyed it. And even like the restaurants we've been to, we even tried one Chinese restaurant for Olivia. It was pretty decent. So there's a lot of options here for food. So I would say in terms of food, this is probably my favorite, second to Quito. I'm sorry, first Quito would be second. The food was great here as well. So I can see how people kind of gravitate towards this city more so than like Quito or Guayaquil or something like that. So yeah, so if I had to kind of sum everything up, and me and Olivia were talking about this earlier today, it was like, if we had to choose to come back to visit or to live, where would it be? So Olivia said it would be Quito for her because she definitely wants to try to go to places that's near around Quito, like an hour, 2-hour drive away, and kind of explore there. And I think I agree with her on that, because as I become older, I kind of like appreciate nature a lot more than I did when I was younger, where I only wanted to be like in beach towns or like in major cities and have a good time, and that was really it. And now I'm a lot different. I kind of enjoy the peace and quiet. Even though I'm still a city boy, I still like to have some nature surrounded by me at certain times, just to kind of relax and decompress a little bit. So for that, I would say, okay, I would go back to Quito. If I had to live someplace, it's a toss-up, because like I really did like Salinas. And I love being like near the water. Like I love having that ocean view and everything. So it's kind of tough. I think if I really had to choose, I probably would have to go with Cuenca, and just because it's a little bit more developed. Salinas is like one of those hidden gems where I think 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that city can really be built up like a Manta, and it's a hidden gem. There's a lot of opportunity there, but it's just not there yet. But I think it's, you know, I think it will get there in a short amount of time. There's a lot of undeveloped land that's there, a lot of empty lots and things like that. And it's like right in front of the water, and it's like nothing there, or it's like an empty, dirty lot, or some rundown homes that no one's really living in. So if someone ever came in and developed, I mean, prime real estate. But Cuenca's already there, it's already arrived. So it's the better infrastructure for me and my family. It's probably better school systems for Jen to go to. And even though I felt safe in Salinas, it's known to be more safer here. The funny thing about the safety is actually one day we went out in Salinas, I forgot to mention this, there was a murder that happened actually on the beach, probably about 10-minute walk from us, like 4 p.m. in the daytime. Apparently there was like some like, it was like gang related to some, or mafia related or something like that, where some guy got off the back of a motorcycle, went to the beach, shot someone that he was looking for, got back on his motorcycle and left. And both of those, I guess they got him on camera maybe or something like that, but they both were known to be tied to like organized crime. So we didn't, only reason why I knew about it is because I saw it in a Facebook group that I'm in in Salinas. Other than that, I never would have known about it, because we actually walked right down that same beach a few hours after the incident. So, I mean, but those things can happen anywhere, so I don't really judge it based on that. I did get shook, you know, did have a shakedown by the police on my last day in Salinas, where I went down a one-way, and there was no sign. It was pitch black, no cars on the street. and the cop on the bike pulled me over, and he's like, hey, you know, this is a one-way street. And I explained to him, like, hey, there's no sign here that states that. I had no idea, it was a mistake. So another cop comes over, they're both real nice, but I knew it was coming, they wanted money. So the guy's like, hey, the cop's like, hey, you know, it's $45 for the citation, and you have to pay it before you leave Ecuador. So I said, all right, fine. Like, I'm not gonna pay it. In my mind, I'm thinking, like, there's no way I'm paying a fine. You know, I got a ticket in Milan a few years ago, and they still send me letters in the mail to pay it. I'm not gonna pay it, it's ridiculous. But I'm like, yeah, okay, no, fine, give me the citation. And they said, well, we also can negotiate, and we could, you know, if you help us out, basically, we can just let it go. So I gave them 20 bucks, they were happy, they left, and that was that. So pretty common in this part of the world. No big deal, it was only $20. But something to be mindful of is, like, certain places you may run into, like, cops who may pull you over for a particular reason, and really all they want is money. And it's best just to give them a few dollars and just leave and just be done with it. But overall, I really enjoyed Ecuador. This is my first time here, our first time here. And like I said in the earlier videos, like, I've never had plans to necessarily come here, but I'm very glad that I did, and I explored something new. And I'm actually gonna miss it. Like, I've been here for, it'd be 33 days in total, and I've gotten very used to the people here and the food and the vibes and the grocery markets and everything. I feel very comfortable here. So it's a bittersweet. I'm happy to what's coming up next for us, but I'm definitely gonna miss Ecuador a lot, and I'm pretty sure we'll come back at some point in the future as well. The only issues we had, I would say overall, was like there was a shortage of energy, so they had like mandatory power cutoffs at certain times of the day, depending on what city you lived in, and I had to work, so I would have to go down like to the lobby where they had the generator set up, and I would have to use that Wi-Fi. And then sometimes you don't get hot water. It's not really that common unless they have like some device hooked up to the shower. So that's kind of a pain. But other than that, which to me is a small thing, more of a bigger deal for Olivia than myself. But other than that, we had a blast. I loved it. But now we're off to Chile tomorrow morning. I'm excited about the few days we're going to spend there before we head to Argentina for 4 months. And kind of compare and just see, like, you know, the differences and the similarities of these countries, and who knows where we may end up in the future, because not only are we traveling and living in these places, but we also want to see if we see something that we like, that we maybe want to stay longer term. And I already know from myself, Olivia's going to pick Argentina because it's very European and she loves Europe. Myself, I can pretty much live anywhere, so, you know, any place that I think that is definitely obviously safe and it has a good infrastructure is a place that I wouldn't mind putting down some roots for a while. But yeah, we never know, we'll see. You know, we may, I don't think we'll end up back here in terms of living, but we may like Chile or Uruguay or Brazil or Colombia or Argentina, wherever. We can kind of decide, or if we want to just still continue with our plan to move to Spain, we could, you know, still do that. So undecided, and we still have like 11 more months to go on our journey to see what's next. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one, which will be the video of us in Chile. So take care, please like and subscribe. Talk to you guys later.